What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Pearl Daily here on the Audacity Network. If you guys want to support me or the show, please go to theaudacitynetwork.com. It's $10 a month, $80 a year. I found, what's crazy? I try not to talk too much about myself, but I found the more I tell you guys, the more engagement I seem to get. So, I guess I'm going to tell you guys more stories about me, things I've gone through, things I've done. Today I cooked a steak. And I'm having trouble cooking. So maybe the two women that watch that, I do really well with thick steaks, but thin steaks, I just don't cook as well. It's not as even for some reason. Thick steaks, it's you got to leave them for a while, but thin steaks, I always seem to over or undercook them. Today I undercooked it. So I wanted to start the show. Yesterday we had a show talking about how traditional wives are only submissive when they feel like it. And the main point of that show was really just to talk about how submission isn't really something that's fun. When you get invited to Drake's party and your husband says, don't go, it's kind of like, ooh, but it's good for you in the long run. And a lot of the submission accounts just seem very performative to me because they don't talk a lot about the hard stuff. Do you know what I mean? I've lost 45 pounds in total. And I tell you bitches to use Ozempic because that took me forever. Oh my God, that took me forever. And I'm not even done. I talk about this daily. And I'm going to keep complaining because I really miss sugar. I'm cutting sugar right now other than fruit. And I'm going to just keep complaining about it. So if you can't deal with that, then you might want to tune in somewhere else. Don't lose any more weight. Well, you must be black. You must be black. You must be a black person because only a black person would say that. White guys are like, get to the gym, get to the kitchen. Black guys are like, oh no, you're going to be too thin. Do you want me to make an Ozempic ad? No, I should be. This is how my Ozempic ad would go. My Ozempic ad would be like this. I'd be like, hey guys, my name is Pearl and I lost 45 pounds naturally without the help of Ozempic. And I'm here to tell you that shit took me forever. Countless gym days, giving up my social life, giving up hours of my life, not going to certain events because, I had to work out or the food. I have spent hours and hours of my life getting steps, lifting, stretching. And I'm here to tell you that took me 6 years. So just take Ozempic. Take Ozempic. Take the drug. That'll get you there faster. What took me 6 years will take you 6 months. Ozempic it is. I mean, that's how I would do it. That's how I would do it. So I think I'm going to start the show. I'd like you guys to comment more. And I want to go back and forth with some of your comments. And then we will do the reaction. I will get into the topic. I'm a little sorry if the show, I don't know if this is going to be my best performance. I have a little bit of brain fog from the steak. I really shouldn't have eaten it right before. I was like, what have I done? What have I done? Okay, so the show yesterday, traditional wives are only submissive when they feel like it. So there was a complaint saying live shows don't work well unless the chat's on stream. I'll take that into consideration. I don't know how to do that in StreamYards, but I'll look at it. Traditional women don't spend their time on social media claiming to be traditional. Any woman constantly online is jaded in one way or another and to be avoided for serious relationships. Yeah, we are messed up. I wouldn't touch us with a 10-foot pole. I find that any woman that is online DMing her friends or discussing relationships with others is playing pretend because she is looking for validation from other people outside of her man. She's playing pretend, building her brand, pretend. If she's building her family, there is no brand. There's her man and the family. Then maybe their family's involvement in that order. You can't be submissive if you're actually in control. The boss example is actually pretty fitting. People aren't really submissive with their boss. They're submissive until they get a better job or they decide that the job isn't worth it anymore. It's fake submission. Real submission is when you can't quit. Only the way we organize marriage and society, that's impossible as a woman. If anything, the husband will be the truly submissive part because he knows that in a divorce, he's the one that's going to get shafted. So all you get is a few women LARPing at being submissive. Now, there are women, I think I'm getting more women here. And I'd like to encourage you to leave. Because whenever women come, it always is nagging that comes with it. So I'd like you, please don't be here. I mean, this is going to hurt your feelings. Black YouTube, you can go to. I know I'm gonna get into my beef with Black YouTube. I'm gonna, the black part of YouTube. We're gonna have a talk today. We're gonna have a serious talk. But you guys, I don't need offended people here. If you make content, you are gonna get women viewers at some point. No, because they hate me. Please go away. So she says, and this is the female gaslighting. They're always running cover, trying to look like good people. I'm not sure on this. I'm just guessing. But I think when women say they love being submissive, what they mean. So again, right now she's trying to change words. That's how women manipulate you. I didn't mean this. Is they love being with a dominant and confident man. I think they mean they love having a man that they admire and adore and respect. I don't know. The girl I was covering had her tits out with a Jesus cross. Anyways. I think they mean they are sexually turned on by a man who isn't a doormat and sets boundaries and has standards. Also, they probably do love submitting when it's something they're already fine with, but real submission is when you don't agree, especially and strongly and passionately don't agree. No woman loves that in the moment. Just my take. And then the men come in with logic and they say, you can't have it both ways. Women need to understand that. And then they spend every waking moment trying to break his boundaries, challenging and emasculating him. Then they wonder where the married men went. Do you know what I think would be a good addition to marriage? Because I don't think men really like being around us that much. I don't think we're that great. Like, I think men like the sex. I think there should be outhouses for women. Like, you kind of banish her when she's being annoying, put her in the outhouse with something to do. Do you know what I mean? We don't like being around each other. I agree. I sort of agree. We don't like being around average men, but women will go to extreme lengths to get around the men that we want. Zubia's back. Zubia, the former fatty. Welcome to the chat. You're not invited here. Please leave. Please go. My last jobs was helping veterans with disability, mostly mental health. Got the claim to 100%. Changed my life on YouTube all the time. Going carnivore. It cured my problem, including weight. I know. You know what? I have tried the carnivore route and it does work, but I want to die too much. Maybe it's something I can work up to. Right now, I'm trying to cut sugar. And I had, you guys are going to have to spam Rachel Wilson's chat because I don't know if I lost. I'm doing like a challenge with Rachel Wilson. She's given up alcohol. I'm giving up sugar. And this morning, I had a devastating realization. Oh my God. I'm hoping she gives me grace. But she's already given me grace once for something else. The problem when you cut sugar is there's so much stuff with sugar in it you don't realize. And so I have this smoothie that I have like every day. I have that, like, I love this smoothie. This smoothie like makes my life. And I don't think she's going to be a stickler, but this one was pretty bad. Like, if there's like 2 or 3 grams of sugar, I don't think she's going to care. But what happened was this smoothie, I put in pumpkin, Greek yogurt. I put in protein powder, pumpkin, Greek yogurt, protein powder, and a banana. I am allowed to have sugar from fruit. Now, and usually it's pretty good because it's got like over 20 grams of protein in it. So it's really filling. And then instead of milk as the liquid, I put coffee. So I get my coffee in, I get my pumpkin, I get my Greek yogurt. I'm like a happy camper. And this week I do grocery delivery. I know it's bougie. It's probably a waste of money. I hate going to the grocery store. I really like cooking. And so I like to just get the ingredients right to me. And, but the thing is, sometimes when that happens, they substitute other Greek yogurts in, or in this case, they put in a different Greek yogurt. And my normal Greek yogurt has no sugar. And I thought I've been sugar-free for 5 days. And it turns out there was sugar. This was a flavored Greek yogurt. And I didn't notice. Because it was in the smoothie. I'm so sad. I got to tell me and Rachel are pals. We're working out tomorrow. I know, I was devastated because I was thinking I'm doing so good on this sugar cleanse. I've been amazing. And I was like, no. No, I'm doing stevia. I'm allowed to have like fake sugar. At some point I might work my way up to being completely out of it, but I know there's some people that just go cold turkey. That's just never worked for me. I know I threw away the Greek yogurt, but I was so devastated. I thought I'd been doing so good. And it wasn't a small amount of sugar either. I was like, why? Why, God? Why? Honey is carnivore. Yeah, I know, but the Greek yogurt is to make the smoothie thicker. That's what the point. It wasn't for the taste. It's like it makes it thicker. It's like when it goes in your throat, it just glides, Yeah, fake sugar like stevia increases your insulin. I'm sure there's a catch, right? But I'm going to go to fake sugar, and then maybe someday I'll be no sugar at all. But today is not that day. Okay, let me go back to these comments. The women gaslighting. That's why I'm banning you guys. That's why you guys are banned. Then somebody said, throw that gray baggy sack looking sweatshirt out. I'm not going to do it. Look at women that look nice all the time. They're fat. Women that have a full face of makeup all the time, they just don't work out. So you can do natural sugar, not processed. Your body can break down natural sugars. I'm doing fake sugar. And now they're saying, oh, Pearl's running. Okay, we were going to talk to Black YouTube for a bit. And we're going to tell this story. Okay. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Pearl Davis. And at one point I was known as the female Andrew Tate. Oh, hold on. Someone's calling me. I'm busy, damn it. Okay. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Pearl Davis. And at one point I was known as the female Andrew Tate. I went viral for my conservative opinions, like women shouldn't vote, repeal the 19th. I did a really famous interview with Andrew Tate. Brittany Renner was on. I used to do debates 6 days a week. I also started a YouTube network at one point that failed. It did fail pretty bad, where I managed 3 or 4 YouTubers and I tried to make them famous. It wasted a lot of money. It didn't work, whatever. And I basically got really famous. I was kind of a woman, and I talk about women like myself, right-wing e-girls. I got famous for being a conservative woman because, if I was a man, I probably wouldn't be here. So I'm kind of an inflated, I'm like a DEI hire essentially, but a happy and aware DEI hire. There's something about a DEI hire. He says, thanks for letting me be here. I'm going to be the happiest DEI hire ever. And in the peak of my career, I couldn't go anywhere without being recognized. This is not to brag. I don't miss this level of fame, but there was a point after the Andrew Tate interview that anywhere I went, people took pictures of me. And at the peak of my career, I was getting 100 million views a month. I had 1 billion views on my channel. And at the time, it felt like this was an accumulation of a lot of hard work. You've just worked so hard and you became famous, right? Obviously, it was very inflated in hindsight, being that I'm a woman. Who am I anyway? I've never heard of you. Well, that's totally fine. Now, when I was doing the panel shows, and what I would do is I would have 10 women on my shows, and we would argue like 6 days a week. We would debate, we would go back and forth. And a good chunk of these women were Black women. I interviewed probably 1,000 people where we would do debates 6 days a week. This was out of my apartment. I had no life for this 2 years. I was also playing semi-pro volleyball. And in that instance, I actually got a pretty sizable Black audience. It's a part of YouTube that I call Black YouTube. Now, Black YouTube, I had a great time on. I really do like Black people. I think they're a lot of fun. They're cool to be around. They're the best on shows. Like if I bring some I was on this other show the other day and I was talking about Black people at times, their lack of decorum. And one of the guys, he says, well, white people don't have flavor like we do. And I'm like, to some extent, that's true. They always give the best interviews. If I'm on a show, it's like if I say, hey, let's go, they're like, woo, So I would even say he has a point to some extent. And I gained, at the time I was going on all these shows and but in all, I didn't really see or care about race. That was not something that was important to me. There are patterns that maybe I had observed, I'm not really put together. The same way, there are patterns about women. Like at the time, I may have thought that my success was my hard work when really a lot of it was just because I'm a woman. But I didn't notice that pattern a little bit till later. I could tell that story someday. The Canon event where women realize our success is just because we're women. And it just wasn't something that mattered to me. In fact, since I was a kid, my mom would always say that I was always friends with the Black girl on my volleyball team. Like where I grew up, there was usually like 10 volleyball players and maybe 8 were white, 2 were Black, 1 was Latina. Like the general demographics of where I grew up, or Asian. Asian girls do volleyball too. It's like a high income sport. And there was a Black girl on my team in high school and I would always drive her to and from, I would drive really out of my way to give her a ride to and from practice. There's a Black girl in my middle school. We would hang out and this isn't, I think this is Black people complain about this. They're like, why do white people always say they have Black friends? I'm like, well, you guys are always calling us racist. I just like to have receipts. Do you know what I mean? I just like to, they're like, you're racist. And then we're like, here are the receipts. No, we're not. And then they're like, well, that doesn't count. You're a colonizer. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, how it'll never end. Yeah, and so I'm not trying to say this. I'm really not trying to say this to it wasn't like I did it out of virtue. I did it because Black girls are fun, I'm a fun person. So I think my vibe just kind of naturally vibes. Like it's like a vibe check. You know what I mean? And I get along with white people too. Anyone that's really spent a lot of time around me. I interviewed 1,000 people. I don't discriminate. So I end up building a pretty decent Black audience. And when I built this Black audience, I don't even know if it was fully Black. but it was a good chunk. And it was because I was dunking on black women. Like a lot of the black women that came on my show, um, just a lot of them were poor representations of black women because they were fat, masculine, and just not all, right? There were some that were perfectly reasonable. One of the most feminine women I ever met was a black woman. Beautiful. I mean, but this is kind of what happened. So you were one of the only women choosing to look into the stats for men and women. I don't recall any women wanting to dig into the numbers trying to find the truth. Yeah, but it was I can dunk on Asian women a different day, but I haven't spent as much time around Asian women, just being honest. So anyways, the black men are like, yay, Pearl, and whatever. So I end up having Nick Fuentes on. Now, Nick Fuentes is allowed on all of the podcasts now, but I had him on like a year or two before it was popular. Now, at the time, I was debating 6 days a week, and I wasn't really doing the prep. I know this is kind of a common woman excuse, so you guys can, choose to believe it or not believe. I don't really care. But in all honesty, I didn't look into him a lot before the interview because my process is usually to bring people on and vibe. I'm not the most professional. I'm really not, as the woman I am. And so you'll see if you go, I think that interview is still on Rumble. When he comes on, I'm like reading his Wikipedia. And I'm like, oh God, they called him anti-Semitic, racist, all this stuff, but they say that about everyone, so I don't really care. So when I bring someone on, I try to bring them on and I don't like my dad says, I always just tend to see the good in people. Like I had on Grant Cardone a few years ago, and he said, I've never had a host that made me feel more comfortable. And I don't think it's because I do a lot of research in my job. I definitely don't. I film too much to do that. But I think my nature is kind of just to see the good in people, right? Like I could interview a murderer and see their point of view. It does make me easily manipulated at times. And in this case, you'll see. So I end up having Nick on. And Nick, I have this interview with Nick. And there were some parts of the interview that Black YouTube got really upset about. Now, they got upset about, there's one point in the interview, and I'll tell you what I meant. They tell me not to explain myself, but I'm going to anyway, because it's been a few years. I talked about how slavery is embellished. I think that was like the sound bite. And I've talked about this on my show. What I was saying is they always weaponize tragedies in order to guilt you. And they do that a lot with slavery. And I read like 20 accounts from slaves on their experience with slavery. And it just was not what I saw on TV. Like I saw Roots growing up. And so, when I read, and you can Google this, it's like the Freedmen Project, and you can read like former slaves talking about what slavery was like. And I find one saying like they wanted, like they missed it. Like it was better under it. I found another account that was like, what was the other one? It was like talking about how the owner was a good person. Now, I'm not saying, maybe it was because, they were abused, Stockholm syndrome, whatever, but that wasn't really what I'd been seeing on TV. And Black YouTube just basically gave me the most bad faith characterization that they possibly could. They try to guilt you with this stuff. Then there was another clip that went viral of Nick, kind of going like, I forgot what happened, but there was a girl that came on my show, and I did warn her about who he was beforehand, and they had a back and forth, and he made a joke about her dating black guys. I've done the same, right? I'm not even saying I'm different, but she'd kind of been rude to him first, and then they go back and forth, and I'm just letting him hash it out. And Black YouTube again, they say, Pearl, why didn't you stand up, et cetera, et cetera. And this was my first cancellation that affected me in real life. Like it wasn't just the internet, because I got like surrounded by all these people I knew where I'm saying like, I'm not sorry for what I said. And they're all saying, no, just apologize. Like, and on top of that, I'm going to volleyball. There's girls on my team that were so mean to me after this interview for no reason. because they disagreed with the way I did this interview. Whatever, something that's not a big deal. Like, it's not a big deal to interview someone or to have a different opinion. But Black YouTube just crashed out. They completely crashed out. And then on top of that, this filtered into people that I thought I was friends with. I've talked about this before. There was a YouTuber I worked with, and I'd actually filmed the interview before he even came on the show. So this YouTuber, he'd actually stayed at my family's house. And he flew out to London, and we took him out to dinner. We were so polite to them, right? And this YouTuber proceeds to attack me for the next year and a half, clipping my content, giving me the most uncharitable edits of everything I said. He even accused me of laughing at his cancer. And I didn't do that. But the way he edits the clips, he made it, oh my God, it was such bullshit. He did this for a year after I let him stay at my family's house. After we took him and this other girl out to dinner, and they just he proceeds to bully me for the next year and a half. And I just couldn't believe he did that. I was like, I thought we were friends. Then on top of that, another YouTuber that I thought I was friends with, I considered this one a person. Oh no, where'd I go? I considered this one a personal friend. He made this video, and it was titled "The Truth About Pearl," right? And I thought he was going to defend me because I thought we were friends, and I really liked him as a person at the time. And I just remember when the video came out, it was the most uncharitable essay video about how I have a colonial mindset. He accused me of giving slave contracts to people, or to Black people, right? That's what he said. It was slave contracts, even though I was losing money on all of the talents I hired to my network. I lost money. That was the worst business decision I ever made. I just was not smart. No, it wasn't Nick that said this. This was another YouTuber I worked with. Sorry, I might have caveat in the story. After the interview came out, there was people that were offended, and they were people I was friends with. And I just couldn't believe they were going to throw me under the bus for views. These were people I literally thought I was friends with. And when that video came out, The Truth About Pearl, I literally thought, and it was so crazy. He was taking footage from my birthday party, accusing me of trying to take footage of Black people and hold it over their heads. I was like, what? And it was crazy because I thought I was friends with these people. I was devastated. This was a canon event for me, to the point I gave a groveling apology at the time. It was so sad. That was my biggest regret in my career, but it was a lot of pressure. My bad on the confusion. No, I like when you guys ask questions because it helps me clarify. So if I miss a detail in the story, I don't mind the questions. And I kind of just kept going with my shows, but this really, really impacted me. And then I took back the apology. It was such a mess. It was such, I confused friendliness with good character. It was such a mess. This was the biggest shit show in my career. I mean, I handled it totally wrong because I just didn't. Yeah, I know. I'm still cringing over that stupid gold African necklace. And by the way, this guy ends up outing people that work for me that aren't public figures, putting them in video. Yeah, I know. And he wore an African necklace. Isn't that the dumbest thing I've ever said? He's ever. And really just bullying me for the next year. Essay videos about how, and Black YouTube, this is kind of my conversation with you. Be careful what you wish for. Because now I'm the thing that you hate. Look what you've created. This is to you. Black YouTube, yeah. I hired a 100% black staff, or it was like 90%. I doubled like 3 different YouTuber subscribers by the content we made together. Be careful. Be careful what you create, because you wanted to make me the villain. Now I'll fucking be it. And that's how I feel about it. Why is there a black YouTube? Look, I was really naive, you know? So now, this was not just black YouTube that ambushed me about these things. I'd like to say it was not just the reason black YouTube, like that whole thing hit me so hard, was because what is up with this camera? It hit me so hard because I was friends with some of them and I just didn't think they would do that. Oh yeah, I'm in my villain era. I'm in my villain era. Be careful. Be careful what you wish for. So I'm going to try to unplug the camera and plug it back in hopes that this helps. And by the way, those are just the public ones. There was stuff that happened behind the scenes that I don't talk about. I don't wish it to be public, but the other people made it public. Like, do you understand how bad, like, how serious of an accusation that is? Pearl made fun of my cancer. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it's just, that's what I've noticed black people do. They make the most uncharitable, bad faith interpretations of anything you say. So, you know, again, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you make. Now, this was not the only people that turned on me. In fact, then after I had Nick on, I received severe backlash from a lot of different channels. And pretty much any channel I went on, I got drilled about why I would have Nick Fuentes on. And this was about a year before he starts making his rounds. For example, these super simps, trigonometry. Like, watch this. This was my life for like 6 months after I had him on.
Time that we booked you.
Now, I did not agree to talk about this. So screw you guys. I mean, I didn't say it at the time. I just moved on with my life and never talked to them again. Oh, I miss my hair extensions. Should I get them back? Look how long my fake hair was. Oh, I miss it.
To come on the show, and you actually coming on the show, you had a guy called Nick Fuentes.
Oh yeah, Nick.
Yeah. And then you did an interview with this guy. Like, this is not a guy we would ever have on because he's a racist, Holocaust denying piece of shit as far as I'm concerned.
And by the way, I kind of opened up to him in the ride there and was like, oh, I don't really want to talk about this stuff. What a piece of shit. What piece of shit, people. Your face was more puffy with the extra weight. I know, right? But don't do this work. Don't do the work of losing weight, ladies. Take the drugs and get, like, you can get masseter Botox. This was so much work.
But you had him on, and then you took that interview down and apologized. So what happened with that whole thing?
Oh, I can't talk too much. There's like legal things going on.
There's legal things going on.
Yeah, there's not with.
Yeah, I was debating. I think I got demonetized or something, or I just didn't have the time. But I was debating going to court over some of the videos made about me. But then I just took the L. I was like, all right. I just took the L
with Nick, but just, yeah, but there's I have a video coming out about that whole thing. So
You do?
you guys have to wait for the video.
Well,
But I hear if you date someone in your culture. You'd have to watch the full thing, but was like being a bit like combative to him. And to me, he was just like kidding. But yeah,
he did say, I am a bit racist, even in that. And in fact, in your apology, you said that he said racist things.
Well, there's a video coming out about all of that, but you'll see. It's coming out.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking you is because it's kind of like a big deal that you had this guy on. Do you see what I'm saying? He is.
And now guess who they're asking to have him on? Fuck you! Sorry. Oh my God. Sorry. That was the woman in me that came out. That was the woman.
Incredibly toxic.
I'm just telling you my personal experience with him. We filmed hours and hours and hours of footage with him. There was that one to me, if you watch the full clip, it puts it in a little bit of context. Yeah. But he was really polite. He showed up on time. Like we just, yeah.
He also
and honestly, he did a panel and he spoke about his opinions on race mixing, and a lot of people agreed with him.
Okay, but that doesn't change whether it's racist or not, right? But what I'm getting
Do you think it's racist to like, because I'm curious.
Yeah.
Do you think it's racist like if I'm Irish and I say I want to date someone that's Irish? Do you think that's racist?
No, but if I say...
Okay. These are like the henpecked men.
To you, you're Irish, therefore you shouldn't date a black man. That is racist, yeah.
If you're Irish and... Because when he spoke about it on the show, it was more about culture than race.
But to me, that doesn't really work as an argument, Paul. So I'll give you an example. I'm
gonna... Right now, they're trying to sacrifice me and crucify me for another guy's views. What? And sometimes I'll try to talk normal to people, and I just don't understand in media where I'm just like, can we just have an honest, like, good faith conversation? I don't, and people just, they get so weird at times. Do you guys want me to react to the rest of this, or I just kind of wanted to show you the idea? So essentially, I go on all these shows, and Piers Morgan ambushed me. He accused me. I did a freestyle on a live. Like, you guys know how I do these songs where I'm like, why can't we talk about the without getting kicked? Wait. Without getting kicked off of YouTube. You know, I do these like freestyle songs. And so one day on my show, somebody said, we'll make a song about the and I just thought it was funny, so I made one. And then Piers Morgan ambushes me about it. I was supposed to have I was going to be a regular commentator on Piers Morgan because I had Nick on. I lost that. I had to fire my whole staff. I had accusations of racism for years. All because I had him on. And now all these assholes are like, oh, we'll have him on now. Free speech. Where, you know what? Where was the free speech when you actually lost something? Where was the good faith conversation when you actually paid a cost for having him on? It doesn't mean shit to have him on now, because now YouTube, for whatever reason, is letting us talk. But where was this energy 2 years ago? It's not fair. I know. I want an apology from Piers Morgan. I would like an apology. And by the way, this did stifle my career and my personal life. I would say everything in my life stopped after I got demonetized. I ended up getting demonetized. I had a whole content system in England. I had to fire everybody. I had to move home. Dating was near impossible because who wants to deal with a woman that's getting with my Wikipedia page? At the time I was seeing my boyfriend, and it was like I wanted to move to a city. How do I do that? How do I do that with no money? I had to stop everything. I had to delete all of my content. I had to delete 10,000 videos and 1 billion views off my channel. I have lost millions of dollars from having this guy on. It impacted my personal life. It made it difficult to go to volleyball because there was this girl on the team that was just like a complete bitch to me for no reason. Guess what race she was? And, you know, my opposition says, Pearl, you're bitter. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm bitter. Yes, you would be bitter too if for 2 years, like, I gave up my personal life to build the channel. 6 days a week, I did panel shows. Do you know how many people I saw in that time? Nobody outside of the show. Do you know how many friends? I had my best friend of 20 years make a video trying to embarrass me. 20 years. And I could talk about that a different day. I gave up so much in order because I really did believe in free speech and good faith I really did. And it was so disheartening because one, Black YouTube, be careful what you wish for because now I'm the villain you asked for. And two, from conservative media, I thought you guys were free speech. So I'm going to stop nagging for a second. And I'm going to actually react to the Piers Morgan interview. I know why you guys are here. But my whole point on this whole thing is really to Black YouTube. Be careful who you bully, because at some point, white people, it's the same thing with this Marquette, whatever this guy's name is, this struggle, no offense, but like this YouTuber on, I guess, Black YouTube or wherever he's at. You know, when you lack basic decorum and you're rude to people, don't be shocked when they don't want to work with you or deal with you. It's not shocking at all. So be careful what you wish for. All right, let's see. And now, I mean, men like Piers Morgan. And I want to say to Black YouTube, you shouldn't hate men like Nick Fuentes who are honest. You should hate the men like Piers Morgan that are going to pander to you. And women, we got to start hating these super simps that pander to us too. I find it bizarre that Nick is still thriving, but they crushed you. Well, I'll give you a caveat. Nick's smarter than me. He figured out ways around it. He was banned on everything. For every 10 YouTubers that are banned, one figures out a way around it. He was the smartest. Yeah. All right, let's see. I got to take off the 2x. Okay, so now I want you to pay attention. Now, whenever somebody, sorry, Saint, he's a grifter. I don't really care, you know, but it just kind of goes like this. Black people go at white people in bad faith, and they're shocked when we walk away and say, fuck you. They're disrespectful, and then they're like, oh, well, why are white people walking away? It's like, well,
I thought it'd be interesting. And, you know,
so do you see Nick? He's smiling, good faith. Pierce, bad faith, already scowling, already. And it's because it's because Nick's going to go in good faith. He's going to go bad faith.
Talked a lot about me on your show over the years, and this is the first time you actually extended the invitation. I think it might be the second, actually. I think we We talked about doing it during A24 a few years ago, but you've talked a lot about me with the panel, and now you've extended the invitation to talk to me. And I think it'd be interesting for me to maybe clarify some positions and maybe get to know you a little better as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
There is a belief that you have two personas. There's one that you roll out now for podcasts and for shows like mine, where you come across as reasonable. And then there's your show on Rumble, where you often come across as having, you know, a very unreasonable view on things. This is what Coleman Hughes said about you.
Nick Fuentes knows exactly what he's doing. He is consciously playing this double game as part of a long-term strategy to become popular.
See, again, this is bad faith. It's you don't say what you mean. It's like the worst. I said sassy saint, not sorry. I don't like him. Well, thank you for the super chat. Feel free to pay me, guys. Feel free to please pay me, you know, and I will read the supers.
Enough to take the reins of power, at which point he plans to pivot towards the extreme and unpopular policies that he advocates daily on Rumble.
So first of all, what is your response to that?
Well, first of all, I would say that Coleman Hughes is a propagandist. He works for the Free Press, which is run by Barry Weiss. So I think you have to consider the source. And Barry Weiss is a pro-Israel partisan. Free Press is just bought out by CBS for $150 million by Larry Ellison or his son, David Ellison. And so I think that's coming from a particular point of view. We can't pretend like that's coming from a vacuum or from some fixed position. That's coming from a propaganda outlet that's in favor of Israel. That's first. But second, I would say he is right about the two personas. And I think that everybody understands this on some level. On my show, I make jokes and I use rhetoric and I'm hyperbolic because for a long time I had an audience that was small on these like dissident platforms. I was on DLive for many years. A lot of people don't even know what that is. And so I had a small following and we had sort of like an in-group sense of humor and memes and things like that. And you talk about it one way on a freewheeling live stream when I'm by myself and I'm ranting and we make jokes and we play devil's advocate. We play with different positions. But then when you sit down in an interview like this one and people ask me a good faith question, what do you actually believe? Well, then I clarify and I say, well, here I'm not joking. Here I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not being rhetorical. I'll tell you precisely what I believe. As far as this idea.
Okay, I'm going to skip forward to where. So when interviewers don't like you, and as an audience, it's best if you can figure out like how to, okay, production, you guys got to figure out what is going wrong with this camera. What'll happen is they will take the most uncharitable quotes that you've ever said, and they'll go through your content looking for anything they can take out of context. It's why I really don't like doing interviews anymore. Because imagine I go on a show and they say, oh, Pearl, you said that you're going to be a villain now. What did you mean by that? What did you mean by that? And it's like, go watch the live stream then. You know what I mean? So what he's going to do is he's going to take all of they basically have their minions go through all of his live streams to find things they can just nail him on. So Pierce isn't in the position where he's really trying to understand what the person is saying. He wants to say, if Nick says an opinion that's moderate, he's going to say, oh, you don't really mean that.
You said this. We're looping. You said this already.
No, but you haven't really directly, I think, responded to it, which is whether your father would not take you to certain restaurant chains because he associated them with Black Americans. Is that true?
No. Well, see here, if you're in America, you would say that Olive Garden is not real Italian food. Applebee's, TGI Fridays, this stuff is a load of crap. My dad was just a food snob, but no, it's got nothing to do with that. My best friend in first grade was a black guy. We're not a racist family.
Yeah. So now, and people do this to me, right? They'll use my mother against me. My mother, I can't really control what my mom thinks or does, but we don't have the same opinions on a lot of stuff. I wish her well, whatever, but we don't have the same opinions, very obviously, based on it. If you know, you know. I don't want to get into it, but people will always say, Pearl, your mom, like. And they do that to be jerks, to be honest. Nick's not, again, they're just crawling through hours and hours of footage of him talking to use anything against him. I am brown and I want to be nice to you, so you like colored people. Okay. I like black people. You know what I mean? Like, my boyfriend's Dominican. Do you know what I mean? Like, not black, Dominican, but there's a lack of respect and decorum, and Nick's going to talk about this, that they just lack, and I kind of have a fatigue meter that goes up and down. Like today I went to the gym and I was vibing with this black girl. We were having a cool convo. My fatigue went down. I'm like, oh, this is better. Then someone does something rude and I'm like, well, fatigue goes up. I have white woman fatigue too. I've talked about it. I'm on your side with the saint and the sinner. He's a loser. He is a hunchback girl friend. Millionaire bachelor exposed him. To me, it's mostly the entitlement. I don't like people that are entitled. I give 2 hours of my time to a panel show. That's very low viewership. Okay. Like the level of fame. And it's because I like Lapeef, actually. I think he's cool. Like I like him. He's always been good to work with. And it's just, I think it's kind of ghetto shit to be like, oh, she's running shit. Like that's just ghetto shit to me. And white people, I don't entertain the fatigue anymore. If you do some ghetto shit to me, I'm just going to walk away. Bad comes in all colors. That's true. But white men are just the least of it. I got to be honest here. White men are the most charitable. White men as a group, we should be kissing their asses. Now, if we're going to go off of white people, white women ruin white people enough that I can't even say white people are awesome. But white women, I mean, we Karen, but we Karen to no extent. Like we Karen to the end of time. But white men, now the flaws in white men are always that they're too nice and they let people walk all over them, and they allow white men, and you're going to see this in Pierce, they're guilted into submission. They're controlled by guilt from black people and from women. So you're going to see Pierce as a guilted white man. This is what happens when he responds to guilt from black people and women.
Family. So
okay, so when you told
no.
the story, I'm just curious. So when you told that anecdote, which clearly on the face of it is racist, right? You're basically saying your father made racist decisions about where you would go as a family to eat. Are you saying, well, I'm just going to ask you a question. Are you saying that when you told that story, you didn't mean to infer that he was racist? And do you understand?
And so what he's going to do is now he's bringing up somebody that can't defend themselves. Like there's a big difference between being on a show, telling a story. That's obviously for your audience. It's like, it's a different kind of content. And then you using the story against them as an insult for somebody that's not even there, trying to attack them.
Why, when somebody like me reads that anecdote for the first time, as I did this week, I reach a different conclusion.
Well, I understand what you're doing, which is this sort of making of a murderer. How did he become racist? Well, his father didn't eat an Olive Garden because he said that's not real Italian food. Hang on, can I? What's with the interruptions? Can I explain?
I'm literally reminding you.
So again, he's smiling. He's still being friendly. And Pierce, bad faith. We're tired of this bad faith bullshit. Like if we have someone on the show, I want to hear what they have to say. Yeah, so. Like white men like Pierce are traitors. I know they call me a race traitor, right? But because they're the enforcers. Nick is the epitome of free speech. Men believe in free speech. Women believe in policed speech. And you're going to see Pierce is now the enforcement on behalf of black people and women.
Of something you said on your show, which led me to conclude a certain thing. If I'm wrong, tell me.
Yeah, it was said in jest as a humorous anecdote, and now you're trying to spin it into a narrative, which is his parents are racist. He comes from a long line of racists. And I think everybody knows my parents are boomers. And these people come, well, you're a boomer, I guess, too, in a
I'm
way,
60.
right? You were born
I'm
in what,
60.
19? Yeah. So you're a boomer also. Or maybe you're a Gen Xer. I suppose it's sort of on the cusp. But it's a humorous anecdote. These are kind of the attitudes of baby boomers in society, but you're trying to spin it into a narrative, which is you're a product of your environment. Your dad's racist because of this joke. Now you're a racist. And I don't think that's a fair characterization.
Okay. People can make their own minds up. They can go back and listen to you say it. I mean, the beauty of what I'm going to talk to you about in this interview is that almost all of it is just going to be reminding you what you have said. And
Yeah, and that's look, if I get to that point in an interview, I'll just leave. There's no point because look, I am not going to go through hours and hours of footage trying to find where you messed up. Okay. I just don't have the time. I'm going to have you on and we're going to talk about some of your beliefs and people can take it or leave it. But when you're just going through clips, trying to make someone look bad, what's the point of talking to them? Like Pierce is trying to communicate, I don't like him. Then we can never talk again. That's how I feel. I'm like, we could just never communicate, interact again.
asking you what you meant. Your position about that story is that it was a joke. Okay. I want to come to something else you said. This is where you talk about Jews, women, and blacks. Let's just take a listen.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay. Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true.
Now look, oh my God, this is going to annoy. I'm very sorry about this cable issue. Doug and Pete, can you get on the phone with them and see if there's something we can do to fix this? This is 2 days in a row. They got to figure something out. But look at the J stuff. I don't really see if you can call them. The way I look at it is they win. You guys win. There's nothing we can do. But again, now he's going to say, you're going to see Pierce. He's going to tone police. He's not going to attack him with facts. He's just going to say, you can't say it like that.
Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
But all of them?
No, for the most part.
What does the most part mean? What percentage of American blacks would you like to see in prison?
Whatever the percent.
Probably a third, because a third of black men have been arrested for a felony. Probably a third. It's probably more accurate.
Percentages of the murderers. I think it's 1 in 20 black men will commit a murder in their lifetime. So maybe let's say that 5%.
Oh, so you're talking about...
Wait, 1 in 20 black men will commit a murder in their lifetime? Holy crap. I didn't know it was that bad.
Black people who murder people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But you didn't say that.
That's
You
the
just
crime
said
problem.
blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. You didn't clarify that you were talking about black murderers.
Right. No, you're right. That's a good addition to that. That's a great point.
You think it's funny, or
I do. I think it's hilarious. I think it's totally true.
do you think a black American would find it funny? You think that blacks should be imprisoned for the most part?
Blacks are my biggest fans. I get high fives all the time. They say, Nick Fuentes, I love your show. They agree with me. And you want to know why? Here's the difference. Black people are the most victimized by other black people.
Black people are the most fatigued. I'm the same way. Some of my diehard fans are black people. Pearl, I happen to be a daily viewer of Scott Adams. He has a lot to say about persuasion and other topics. Do I pay attention to Scott? I love Scott Adams. 1 in 20, that can't be correct. I would believe it. That's probably kind of lines up if you go to Chicago.
You think black people want to live in the hood and the ghetto and get shot all the time? That's what happens in the south side of Chicago. You should come here. I'll take you there. We could go to Garfield Park.
My son went to Chicago
Inglewood.
University for a year, actually, several years ago.
Okay, that is not the same. That is like a rich school. I know where that's at. Chicago University or University of Chicago? It's probably University of Chicago. Chicago University. Let's see what area that is. Okay, if he's talking about UIC, I mean, these are rich schools that have security and stuff. And I know what part of London Pierce is in. I lived in the London, Pakistan area. Because what happens is these immigrants come into these cities, and men like Pierce, like I've been on Pierce Morgan. He comes in like a private car every day. He gets like driven to and from the studio, and the studio's in a white area. Like it's in a very nice part of London.
Yeah, that's a bubble. That's a bubble. You think you're in Chicago and Hyde Park? You don't know Chicago. Go a little bit west, see what it's like over there. And I'll tell you, black people agree with me because they're tired of it too. And maybe not most of them, but a lot of them agree with what I say about that because they know how it is. That's why the first thing they do when they make a little bit of money is they go and leave to another neighborhood.
Okay, so what was
They don't stick
just remind
around.
me again, the percentage of black men who commit murder in America. What was the percentage you gave me?
It's 1 in 20. 1 in 20.
It's 1 in 100.
No, it's 1 in 20.
No. Less than 1 in 100 black US men commit murder.
Now again, he's automatically bad faith. He's assuming, he's like, oh, you're a liar. There's no point in having a conversation with someone like this. If in your head, I am a liar, I don't really need to convince you otherwise. You've made up your mind. We'll just, and I always go back to this. We can just never talk again. We can just never. It's like when people crash out on me. I'm like, well, we can just never talk again. Problem solved.
It's the most up-to-date crime statistics in America.
That's not true. I've seen other statistics. They say 1 in
have?
20 will eventually commit a murder.
So your rate means that you're saying that 5 times as many black men commit murder as the official crime statistics say.
Yeah, there's a report, I believe, on X by Data Hazard. I'll have to go and double check that for you. But yes, there's some pretty shocking evidence that says that it's far.
And this is, again, why I don't love data, because this just becomes a data off. Your data versus my data. Your data is bad. My data is bad, etc. When it's like, okay, what do I see in front of me? I see black people committing crimes all the time. Lack of decorum, high aggression. So, like the problem with men like Pierce is they want power. So they want the power to interpret your reality for you. Where I say, look in real life. My show, when I talk about this stuff, I'd say 85% is what I see in the real world. I know early in my career, maybe a lot of it was data, but now I really try to speak on experience because, you really have to go with what you see. What did I want to say about Pakistani London? You don't want to live in Pakistani London. I was in Google Whitechapel. It looks like Pakistan. You don't want to live there. And so Pierce will say, oh, immigration's fine. And it's like, I've lived in Pakistani London. No, it's not. I mean, there's protests every weekend about I saw a woman protesting. She was a immigrant protesting in front of the housing office in Whitechapel about how she didn't get benefits. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And this was, I heard it every weekend, like about the war, about whatever. And I'm just thinking, I'm in England. Like, why can't I hear about British issues?
More alarming than you would think.
Okay, but you would accept that the official crime statistics are 1 in 100, or you wouldn't accept that statistic?
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but I've seen other evidence. Like I said, Data Hazard on X, I believe, produced a report about a year ago. It said 1 in 20. But I mean, whether it's 1 in 20 or 1 in 100, that's a lot of people, Piers. I mean,
Sure,
this is
a lot
real
of white
problem.
people commit murder too. Well, they do, don't they?
Okay, but it's about proportionality. I mean, white people are 65% of the population. Blacks are 13%. And I think anybody would tell you that more black people proportionally commit violent crime than white people, and people vote with their feet. People would rather pay a much higher property tax.
Most mass
what's
shootings.
with the interruptions?
Yeah. And so what they're going to do is he's going to try to manipulate you. And black people, really, you should hate men like Pierce. You guys have all this energy, Black YouTube, for women like me and women like Nick, but really, we're being honest here. Men like Pierce are the liars. Like, he's a liar. Because what he's trying to do is he's trying to act like black crime and white crime are the same, and they're not the same. Anyone that's lived in a black neighborhood and a white neighborhood knows that it is not the same. It's not. You are not scared of getting shot in a white neighborhood. We don't even lock doors. Do you think anyone on the south side of Chicago isn't locking their doors at night? Really? And so what he wants to look good. So he wants to virtue signal. He wants to look good to the audience. So he's going to try to manipulate the data. So it's like essentially there's more white people in America. So obviously they're going to have committed a larger percentage of the crime. On top of that, when it comes to the data, I have sources that say that a lot of white crime is being overrepresented because they log people that are not white as white in order to manipulate the stats. So we're not even sure how accurate it is. But we all know if you talk to 10 black people and you talk to 10 white people, maybe one white person has committed a crime where about a third of black men have been arrested by the age of 25. Or have a third of black men have a felony. I think half have been arrested. So again, men like Pierce, they want to be in control of the narrative. What they want to do is he wants to play God in this scenario. He wants to play God because he wants to dictate what data is valuable, whose experiences count and matter towards what's going on. So essentially he's trying to play God, where I tell you guys, if you have a different experience, I respect that. Let your experience, what you see in the real world, that's got to be your first line of observation, more so than facts, data, and statistics, because that's been manipulated by both sides.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You look at in Chicago, in New York, these neighborhoods are so stratified. People would rather pay a high tax rate. They'd rather pay a much higher property value to live in a less diverse, less black neighborhood because they don't want to live around the violence. And I think that when you look at even on the public transit, the subway, the blue line, people don't want to go there because they know who occupies and menaces the public transit. It is these people like Daniel Penny had to deal with. It's people like Irina Zarutska had to deal with. And that's just the uncomfortable reality.
You've also said you don't want to live near black people. Let's take a listen to this clip.
I'm a new generation of white person. I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry. It's racial for me. And call me racist. Oh, very Christian of you. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, it couldn't be clearer, really, unless you want to say that's another of your jokes. But you're basically saying, yeah, I'm a racist, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with saying...
So again... the other thing is he wants to put labels on Nick. He wants to say you're racist, you're sexist. That's why I don't, I've had people say, Pearl, you're traditional, you're not traditional. I'd rather just say I'm not. Or I'd rather just say, yeah, racist, sexist, homophobic. Like, can we get the labels out of the way and talk about the ideas? That's what women do. Women want to label you so people don't hear your ideas. But when you label someone a certain way, that puts you as the judge and the jury. You're not the judge and the jury. You're not. God is. I'm not even that religious. And I'll say that's God. That's God's choice. It's not mine. Nick could just pepper him with the questions. What do you mean by racist? What source is the guy talking in your ear using? Where do you live? I know Pierce lives in the nice part of London. I lived in London. He does not live in a black area.
You're a racist.
Totally. I think everybody's racist. I think everybody, if we're being honest, is racist. I think everybody, the only people that aren't racist or pretend not to be are white people to their detriment. Everybody else is racist.
But earlier in the interview, you really got aggrieved at the idea that your father was a racist. You wanted to make emphatically
because
sure
my father's...
He's not.
Because my father doesn't share my same views on that.
So he's the exception to everyone's a racist.
Well, everybody's a little bit racist. You're right. So maybe everybody. The difference is you're attacking my father. He could get fired from his job.
I'm not attacking your father.
You are.
No, I'm not. I don't know your father. And to be clear, I have no knowledge about him at all. Well,
then let's leave him out of it. Let's leave him out of it if you don't know him.
Hang on, Nick. You put that story into the public domain on your show. I'm simply reminding you of what you told everybody, millions of people, about your father. If you now want to retract it, fine. If you want to say it was a joke, which is what your position was earlier, fine. But I'm allowed to put to you things you've said publicly. That's not unfair. That's not me targeting your father. You put that story about him out
You know
there.
what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
I'm asking you about a pretty shocking anecdote, which to me looked like you were saying your father made decisions about where you as a family would eat based on skin color of people who worked at these places. If you say, or use them, if you say that is not what you meant, that's fine. You can respond any way you like. But the idea I can't ask you about it without you saying I'm attacking your father is ridiculous.
Well, you are, and you know what you're doing. And there's a political culture in America where if you have the wrong views, you get fired from your job. And my father has a job. And if you go on here and say, you charge him with racism or something, and I'm put in a position where I don't look like I'm sticking to my guns if I don't say my father's a racist, you're putting him in jeopardy, and he's not here to defend himself or explain his views. And it's very low. And I think you know exactly what you're doing, and people can see what you're doing. I'll defend my views. Absolutely
So
not.
it's fine for you to put a story out there which would make most people who listened to that story or watched it at the time on your show conclude that he was racist. It's fine for you to do that. But if I then ask you about it, I'm the one who's being unfair and I've crossed a line. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, you're
that's
being
fine.
malicious.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Listen, people are watching this live. They can draw their own conclusions about whether what I just
And they
did.
will.
Yeah, and I'm
they
sure
will.
afterwards, by the way, you'll say, he ambushed me with your own with your
no,
own
no,
words.
whoa.
With your own words.
That's a little presumptuous. I'm not going to say it's an ambush, but I think that's a low blow. And I think you
Okay.
know what you're doing, and that's fine. You're a tabloid journalist. I expected that. I don't think it's an ambush because I knew it would be like this. And people will see what you're doing, and I think they'll say it's low. But as
Okay.
far as you want to talk about racism,
I do.
Let's talk about racism. Let's leave my dad out of it.
Look, you've admitted you're a racist, correct?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Own it.
Okay, that's fine. You're perfectly entitled in a free democratic society to stare down the barrel of his camera and tell me you're a racist. People can judge you accordingly. Many
I know.
people who have assumed that you're a racist will now have heard it from your own lips. That's fine.
There you go.
That's the point. The point of this interview is to go over the things you've said, which have led people to reach conclusions about you, and to ascertain whether those conclusions are fair and reasonable or not. That's it.
Thank
so I want
you.
to play you another clip. This is where you talk about why white people are justified in being racist. Let's take a listen to this.
First, white people are every single bit justified in being racist. Every single bit justified, to the extent that that means going out of your way to avoid black people when you see them.
You stand by that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Again, this is just going to be you said bad thing. And again, it's putting Pierce in the position of the judge and the jury. Why don't you let the audience be the judge and the jury? Like, why do you get to be? It's just going to be you said this bad thing.
So white people should go out of their way to avoid black people when they see them.
Absolutely. They would be wise.
Why?
Because it's
mean-
a lose-lose.
I mean, Pierce knows. These people are liars. I searched Whitechapel. There's a lot of Muslims. What did you mean, Pearl? Do you not like Muslims? Why do you speak negatively about Pakistan? I don't like living by you guys. Not fun. I could go into detail in a different stream. Nothing against them. I don't dislike them. But living, oh no. You guys poop on the streets. So dirty. You just leave your trash everywhere. Like, oh God. I went and got some berries, guys. I was like, this might be a long one.
Proposition. If you're Irina Zarutska and you don't walk the other way, you get stabbed to death and you die. If you're somebody else and you walk on the subway and you stand near a black person or something, maybe it's fine. It's a lose-lose proposition. So no, I think that white people I think that white people have been beaten into submission, that we're afraid to tell the truth about it. And the truth is that when you go into these major cities like New York or Chicago, I believe she was in North Carolina, there is a menace, which is young, Black, adult.
Nick F is only gaining from this interact. I know it's not going to work anymore. A lot of these tactics, they worked for a long time before the internet came. And Nick's right. I mean, my boyfriend got his truck stolen by some black guys in Dallas. I had a black person steal my camera. Again, bad faith, rude. Obviously not all, but as an adult, you should know that. So Pierce knows exactly what he's talking about because I've lived in London. The black people are not different there. They do the same stuff.
Adolescent men, they're extremely violent, and we have been told that we have to pretend like they are every other person. We have to be colorblind to that, and we're supposed to go and be in the midst of all this danger.
I lived in Milwaukee, same thing. Lived in Chicago, same thing. I had a black tutor who backstabbed me. Guys, it's not all, but it's enough. Nick's awaiting your invitation. We're going to do it. I just think it's got to like naturally happen. I want him in person. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. But I need enough people on the Audacity website in case they take me down. So go to www.theaudacitynetwork.com. It would be cool. It's an app, so you can get it on the App Store. $10 a month, $80 a year. And I'm doing phone calls this week. I thought I was going to get to it today, but I forgot I have a guest tomorrow. So it's probably going to be Wednesday that I start calling people. You just got to email me your membership and your phone number. It's about 100 people have signed up for this right now. Doug MPA, I said I'm going to try to do all of them, depending on how long those take. Doug MPA is going to help. We'll see. So anyways, please don't talk my ear off. Please, if you have a story for me when I call, get to the point because I do have to go through a lot.
And I think that at this point, it's gotten out of control. You look at the BLM movement, they said that the reason that black people, are violent or the reason there's crime is because of police brutality, or redlining, or all these other things. They said we need to get rid of the police. We need to defund them. And a lot of cities did. A lot of cities like Chicago, for example, the police changed the rules of engagement. They don't chase them. It's not a felony if you steal a certain amount of merchandise. They won't chase them on foot. And now the city's totally up for grabs. And now,
yeah. And the thing is, my rule is if we can't have the conversation that black people are in the position they're in because of their poor choices, go to a different channel. Please, God, go somewhere else. Because I don't really, we have this whole back and forth about, was it slavery? Is it redlining? Is it society? Like, obviously, black people, black YouTube is going to say, they're going to say, oh, it's the culture, it's society that's making black people do this. Conservatives are going to say, well, it's internal, it's their choices. And to me, I just don't care. I don't care why somebody does something. Like, if a woman divorces you, steals your kids, and ruins your life, do you care why? Do you care if she did it because society has no consequences for women or because women are evil? Who cares? Like, if black people are burning down Chicago, which is the city I'm from, I would love to live in Chicago. But nobody wants to live there because of what black people are doing to the city. I don't care why it's like that. I just know this group of people is causing a lot of problems. North Chicago here, Pearl is at 100%, so is Nick. In the U.S., 60% of crime is by the 5%. That is fatigue. How is it? Okay. 60% of the crime. Why do they still say white people commit the majority of the crime? Can you explain that? Maybe you could come on later if you got time. I probably won't finish this for another hour, but...
Whether you're in the Gold Coast or whether you're on the Mag Mile or you're in the worst neighborhoods in the city, you might get shot, you might get mugged, someone might run up on you. And I tell my followers, it is better to be perceived as racist or racist and walk the other way and maybe keep your life than to say, I'm a good anti-racist. I don't mind that this person's making me uncomfortable. Maybe he's looking a little froggy. I'm going to sit down because I'm a good person. and get stabbed, mugged, whatever. And by the way, this is a strategy. They call it the friendly stranger. There's a crew of them. They do this in Chicago. They stand outside bars, black people. They approach strangers. It's a robbery crew, and they pretend to be a friendly stranger, and then they mug them.
Yeah. And you know what? I haven't directly been impacted. Like, I'm not like out like that. I kind of started going out more in the last year, but I kind of stuck to the suburbs mostly when I was in the Chicago area. But I know it's getting to the point where like a lot of people that I know firsthand or secondhand have been mugged or robbed, like, and some of them in broad daylight. Milwaukee is a mini Chicago, constant weed smell. I liked Milwaukee.
And stupid white people say, oh, hi, yeah, nice to meet you. You know, they grin, they laugh, they put up with the nonsense, and then they get mugged, or worse. Sometimes they get executed. And so as a white person,
how do you feel about mass shootings at school?
I think they're bad.
Who do you think commits the vast majority of the mass shootings?
I'm sure it's white people.
Right. So how do you feel about that?
I think that white people do more antisocial violence. I think black people participate in more gang violence. I think that's the difference.
What's the difference to the victims?
There's no difference to the victim, but it's a different kind of crime, and it's a different proportion also. Do you know what percentage of white people are school shooters?
I know that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools in America this century were perpetrated.
Hey, actually, a recent study of this is just grok. A recent study of adolescent youth school shooting incidents involving 262 shooters found that among those 262, 58 were identified as black, 8.6% Latino, 27% white, and 5% other. According to earlier data compilation of youth school shooters between 6 and 19 between 1990 and 2016, the school shooters broke down approximately 58% black, 28% white, 10% Latino, and 6% other. The numbers vary a lot because we can't give a definite percentage. Some data set only count youth school shooters. Some only count mass shooters where there's multiple victims. Others include any firearm incident on school grounds. There are different types of events that have different policies. I can try to pull 3 of the 5 largest databases since 2000 and give their breakdowns. All right, let's see what Grok says. I'll let it keep going though. While this. Oh no. Okay.
By young white men. And I'm
and
just
what proportion of
and
what proportion?
I'm curious.
What proportion?
I'm curious whether your advice would be to people who have kids.
All right, can we hit the like button? Stop withholding likes. You're like a woman withholding sex. And all you got to do is lay there. It's like, woman, you can't just lay there for like 20 minutes. It's like you guys are in the chat. You can't hit the like button. A like is for, I'm not saying super chat, but you could. But if you just hit the like, you know.
But is my mic working?
Should they?
Yeah.
Should
What
they?
proportion?
Should they avoid? Should they avoid white people at school? Should people with the kids at school avoid young white men at school?
No.
Okay.
Do you know what per capita means? Do you know proportionality? There are more black people proportionally that engage in violent crime or are involved in gangs, especially in these major cities, than there are white people that are school shooters compared to the entire white population. And everybody understands that.
Two-thirds of mass shootings at school perpetrated by white people.
But what proportion of white men commit school shootings? That's the question.
I've just told you. It's 60-65% of school shootings.
You think he's dumb or he's doing this intentionally? Because I'm like, Pierce, can't we just be real here? You know that black people commit more crimes.
You're telling me what proportion of school shootings are committed by white people. I'm saying what proportion of white people have committed school shootings. Are you playing dumb or are you just not that smart?
What difference does that make to the children lying dead on the ground?
And so this is another tactic. And women do this a lot. Like, you're a bad person. Let me use this tragedy to win. Like, who's the shitty person? The one who's using a tragedy to win an argument? This is how Ben Shapiro cooked him a few years ago.
See, now you want to jump on the victims. The difference is you're asking, would you fear white people or black people? And that's the difference.
No,
The difference
I'm
is
not.
in
What I'm
terms
saying
of
to you is by
probability.
your logic, if we now have agreed that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools are committed by white people and predominantly young white men, then presumably your advice would be to avoid young white men because they
No,
perpetrate these
because of-
massacres. But it won't be.
Oh my God. I am just saying Nick is malicious. He's got two faces and he shows one. The Zubia, this is why I don't want women here. Because this is just a dumb take. To his debaters, and the other after he's done, he posts a random video and he talks encrypted where he has no guts to call out in relation to the debaters to throw them under the bus. Again, this is bad faith. If that's what you believe about him, then like, why are you here? Write him off. He's two-faced liar. You can just never watch again. This channel, it's really not for normal people. It's for people that aren't going to get emotional. Black YouTube, you're not invited. I don't want you here. I don't want you here. I want you to leave. You guys are done. You're done. I tried. I really, really tried to get along with you guys. I am here for you. Well, I'm not here for you. I'm here for men. You know, get him. Let's do a poll. Should I ban her from the chat? Doug MPA, make a poll. She's a woman. She'll find a way around it. No, but like, I'm always just like, look, we can just never talk again. We can just never talk again.
Because they're white, right?
So are you playing dumb or are you actually dumb?
Maybe
It's
I'm
about
dumb.
proportionality.
Maybe I'm dumb.
You are because well, I don't think you are dumb. I think you're smart actually, but you're deliberately avoiding per capita. And everybody knows that's the difference. What proportion of white men are school shooters? It's probably 0.00001%. What proportion of black men have committed violent crimes? It's probably like 5%. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like, do I need to study? This is why I always have this weaponized against me, as black people do on Black YouTube. You guys weaponize this against me, where I say, yes, at times in my job, I use studies, but the first battle of attack is real world experience. You know, I think you can learn more by following those accounts that just interview people on the streets. You'll probably get better data watching those than you will of a study, because you don't know who's funding the study. You don't know the way they're going to try to manipulate it to get what they want. You don't know the ego beliefs of the person making the study. So I don't really need a study to tell me black people commit more crime. I just have eyes. Because if I give you a stat, then they're just going to argue with the stat. So what's the point? What is the point?
But it is off the top of my head, but it's very high.
It's like the circle of gaslighting. Where are your facts? Well, here's a fact. Well, that fact's not real. Okay, here's my real life experience. Well, you're just one person. It's like it's the circle of gaslighting. It's the circle of gaslighting.
And I would add to that, even as it concerns schools, why do you think parents pay a super high property tax to live in a school district where there's white people? Because they know that if they go to the black school, it's going to be the Bloods and the Crips. It's going to be gangs. It's going to be, you talk about school shootings. Nobody talks about all the school shootings that are committed by gangbangers in and around the school.
All right, Zubia, it's 60% are saying you should be banned. I need you to give your case. Why should I not ban you? Why should I? It's a black woman. You know what I mean? It's like, give me your case. Sell me on it. What can she do to earn the right to be in the chat? Chat, let's.
And all the other violence that's associated with that. I mean, these schools in the south side of Chicago, it's just not.
I have an
livable.
answer for you, Nick. So the proportion of the population.
Someone said, why ban someone when you can keep them around as an example? Because it's funny. I think it's hilarious. I think it's really funny. $500 super chat. She's banned. No questions asked. I think it's hilarious.
Who carry out mass shootings is actually the same for black and white.
For white people, the proportion of
The proportion
again,
of the
are you
population.
hearing it? No.
So
What's
I think the trouble with your
proportion?
statistics is a lot of them don't bear much scrutiny. We have a bunch of
This
facts.
is the circle of gaslighting. Where are your facts? Here are the facts. Well, I should make a list of the circle of gaslighting. We should do this together. I think we're going to do this Google Docs. Let me make a Google Doc right now. We're going to make a Google Doc called the circle of gaslighting. And I just want to, make a list. Okay, I can share this tab. Okay, I should make the font big. I want to do 60. If I had the whiteboard, I would do it. All right, maybe 40. So 1. Where are your stats? Where the stats are not good. Your childhood must have been bad. It's kind of what Pierce's have been bad. Tone policing. What am I missing, chat? Thank you. Where are your children? Oh, here's the next one they do. I have a family. You do not. Oh, okay. Actually, I am better because I have kids or a wife. Because I have kids or a wife. That's the next one. They claim they love their wives, but they use them to win arguments. So I don't know why. Here's for putting normies on the crystal. Okay, Zubia saying she's Andrew Tate's side piece. I mean, now you got bigger problems. And probably herpes from what I hear. Sorry. Sorry. I mean, I don't know that. That's just the because Lauren. There's a rumor that Lauren Southern got it from him, but I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I did. Don't send me papers. Okay. Okay, let's see what else people are putting. White people did bad things. Oh, okay. White people. That's a good one. People did bad things a long time ago. All right. Well, we'll go back here.
Check is checking all this in real time because you do have a tendency to just come out with a lot of old baloney. And when you say,
Okay.
well, it's true. And when you're confronted
What-
with,
but you're-
when you're
wait,
confronted
what's
with
the
reality,
figure?
you don't like it.
What's the figure? What proportion of white people have committed school shootings? With white people as the denominator and white people that have committed school shootings as the numerator, what's that percentage?
For both black and whites, the proportion of the population who carry out mass shootings generally is about the same.
No.
And yet-
Tell me the number, and then
your
Okay.
the only focus of your attention is the black shootings.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's not very Christ-like. Yeah, that's one. That's one that Lila Rose does. Passive aggressively insinuate they are more godly than you.
The black crime You don't want to live around black people. You want to avoid black people. You don't want interracial marriages or relationships that may produce black people. And yet, when I point out to you that there are many parts of crime in America where actually there's a majority of white people that perpetrate them, you don't care. You don't have any interest in that. It doesn't exercise your mind. Maybe because you don't,
see, no one's
maybe 'cause
buying
you don't
this.
have
This
kids.
argument.
All right. So here, my stats are better than yours. Actually, he already did that. My stats are better. He's going back to number 2. Your stats are not good. My stats are better. Who hurt you? I'll add that. Who hurt you?
Lost. No one is buying this. Everybody understands per capita, and people can even see what you race ahead and say, well, we're comparing the proportion of white and black school shooters. I said, no, compare the proportion of school shooters that are white versus violent criminals that are black, because that was the basis of the monologue, is that you're very likely, if you encounter black people or a young black man in the city, that you're going to be the victim of a violent crime, of a robbery, a mugging, a car theft, a carjacking, or a murder. That's the difference, and it's about proportionality, and everybody sees past that because we all live in reality. You want to talk about product of your environment. People that live in New York, Chicago, LA, we live in reality. We live in this environment, and we see what it's like. And the threat, the danger in terms of probability it's not even comparable. And I would say this to your point.
Are you angry your mother was a hoe? I mean, my mom married when she was pretty young. I don't think so, but I don't know.
If you're in a high school and truly, if you see a white person who looks like a little autistic, he's got the SSRI stare and he reaches for a backpack, people joke and say, run. Similarly, if you see a jalopy pulling up with a bunch of black people in it and they got their pants around the ankles, you're going to run also. And I'm saying the same thing. The difference is the latter happens much more often. It's much more common. You know, in Chicago, there's like 10,000 carjacking.
You know what would have been a Pierce Morgan checkmate? Is actually that the guy that tried to shoot Nick was white. I understand that that's like I was just thinking that actually would have been a checkmate, sort of.
And car thefts every day. It's in the thousands. It happens all the time. How many mass shootings committed by autistic SSRI white people? I don't even know. I mean, it's probably in the single digits in the last decade in this city. That's the difference, and everybody knows that. But you're really just trying to carry water for liberal ideology. It's an ideological position.
No, I'm really not. I can absolutely say, yes, there is way too much black on black crime, for example, involving guns in Chicago.
And black on white also.
Yes, but there is way too much gun violence in Chicago, right? I mean, it's indisputable. I've got no problem saying that. The difference is I don't then lead myself into a thought process where I have to avoid all black people.
Yeah, so this is a virtue signaling. I'm better than you because I don't avoid all black people. Yeah, but you avoid the ghetto ones. I know where your studio is, Pierce.
In case they shoot me. And you've already conceded that you are a racist. So when people hear you then say, I don't want to be living anywhere near black people, they already have heard you
hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button.
Say, I'm a racist. So they assume you're doing that because of people's skin color. I don't think you would probably dispute that, right?
Well, you're separating two different things. The monologue, when I said I don't want to live around black people, that was after Irina Zarutska got shot. And it's true. I mean, they are a largely in this city, in Chicago, the South Side, the West Side, huge criminal population. And I don't want to live anywhere near it. And I do. I want to live in a white neighborhood. I think that that's extremely desirable. And I think even black people do.
Nick, you're perfectly entitled to that view. But when you have obviously...
let him have it. Like, Pierce sounds like a naggy woman. Like, what are you, a girl? Like, this is, by the way, I realized Steve M was saying, or you're mad your mom's a hoe was the way to attack. Now he's going back to tone policing, which is number 4.
prefaced all this by saying, I am a racist, unashamedly, then people will assume that all your thought processes about all of these issues are driven by an aversion to people based on their skin color, which is the purest personification of racism.
Well, it's not an aversion. I would say it's the opposite. I like.
Okay. Where is the Overton? Where was Pierce? Where the Overton window was 5 years ago. Nick F. Where the Overton window will be in 5 years. Yeah.
My own people. My own people are familiar to me, and I think that's true across the board. I think that people seek out other people that are like themselves, and every other group does this, whether it's blacks, Hispanics, Asians. You know, I get a lot of attacks when I talk about that I'm against interracial marriage. And what's funny is that every other racial or interethnic marriage, Jews,
but you're the
Chinese,
you're the product of an
Hispanics,
interracial marriage.
Yeah, I mean, that's debatable.
Not
Let's say
really.
for the sake of
Not
argument,
really.
sure.
No, you're the product of an interracial marriage, and your father is part Mexican. You're literally.
Yeah, but Pierce doesn't get it. Pierce hasn't looked it up. So Mexican, I was looking this up earlier because I was kind of skimming through it. If you look at like the races, Mexican is a mix of indigenous and Spanish, and Spanish is like white. So, like it's like the Aztecs and and like the Spaniards mixed together, I think. Because like I want to double check what racial lineage is Mexican. Mexican, it's a nationality. Okay. Indigenous. So it would have been the Maya, the Nahu, the Zapotec. Okay. European, primarily Spanish. Okay. So what is the most common demographic makeup of a Spanish or no, Mexican person? So if his dad was like the typical, it's 40 to 60%. So it's half European and half indigenous. Southern is higher indigenous. Central is primarily mestizo with mixed. Primarily mixed. Northern is higher European. Coastal is Afro-Mexican. So coastal, like Puerto Rican, Dominican, they have some black in them, essentially. Does Pierce live in an area he says Nick avoids? Yeah, I know. Pearl is wifey material. I'm Pakistani. Well, of course, the Pakistani would say I'm wifey material. You guys have no standards. You're similar to black guys. I mean, you guys will do anything. I've seen what Indians and like Pakistanis worship, and black men too. You guys will do anything. So of course you're going to say I'm wife material. You don't even know me. I could be hoeing 24/7. I could be flat. You know, you only see this up. You don't know what I look like. I could have a filter on. So, yeah.
For the sake of
You're
argument,
literally
we
the
could
very
say
person
sure.
you've just told me you want to avoid.
What?
Someone said I'm a black man and I have standards. Sure you do. I bet you do. I bet you do. Sure.
What race is Hispanic? Is that a race?
Well, what do you think it is?
I'm asking you. What race is Hispanic?
Hispanic. Of course, it's a race. It's called Hispanic.
It's a mix.
I'm going to make a song. We're going to do an intermission right now. And I'm going to write a song. Yeah, 60% of marriages in Pakistan are first cousins. Am I a flat back? Yeah, I got nothing. Nothing. All right. Pierce fatigue. Wait. What? All right. Pierce fatigue. Pierce Morgan, please stop talking. Pierce fatigue. I beg you to stop doing this to me. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know. Why don't I have a record deal? I know. I'm wondering the same thing. I know. Encore. Oh, stop it, guys. I'm not gonna do it again. I mean, no. Encore. Okay, I'll do it. Okay, Piers Morgan, why are you like this? Piers Morgan, I'm getting tired of the sneak diss. Why did you have to ambush me? You're giving me Piers Morgan fatigue. Piers fatigue. I beg you to please stop talking. Piers fatigue. I beg you to stop doing this to me. Oh, stop it. Woo! Oh, stop. Oh, woo! Pearl, you're the best I ever heard. Pearl, this was amazing. Oh my God, you should have a record deal. I don't know why I don't have. I know. Oh, stop. You guys just gassed me up. Do a song about Piers Morgan lactating. Okay, I can try. Put the video. I know I will put the video back on. Just give me, lactating. Piers Morgan is lactating. And they say that I am just hating. Piers Morgan is lactating now. He kind of looks like a big fat cow. Piers fatigue. Yeah, and then I would go back. So that would be my bar. Thank you. Stop singing, Jesus Christ. All right, that's a little rude. That's a little bit. We could just never talk again. Piers Morgan as a Fruit Loop. What a simp. I'm going to sing in these shows. Nobody will stop me. Nobody's going to stop me. This is going to be a part of these shows. Yeah.
Mix between two races. It's a mix between Indigenous Americans
It's not white,
and
though,
Europeans.
is it? It's not white.
Well, you're more of a racial purist than me. You got like
Not
a
really. You just keep saying you only want to live in a
white.
white neighborhood, but you're literally from a mixed race background yourself.
Living in 8 seconds, young. They're more violent and racist. They are racist. I don't even, you know what? I actually keep to myself. Black people's crash outs scare me. And I keep to myself about half of the things Black people have done to me over the years because I don't need any retaliation from crazy women.
You've literally got Mexican blood.
I know, and I live in a non-white neighborhood too. I'm trying to get out of here though, but I'm trying to get out. But here's the thing.
Do you have any non-white friends? Genuine question.
Most of my friends are non-white. Most of my friends are not, and non-white people love my show.
How many are black?
The honesty.
How many of your friends are black?
Piers, come on. I know your circles in London. Most of your friends are white. Can we stop pretending here? Like, I mean, you guys put on this black girl on your show who's pretty dumb. Like,
many of them, like at least a dozen.
Wow.
Ye being one who you know, Sneeko being another who you also know.
Yeah. So how do they feel when you say you just want to be away from any black people, walk away from them?
Well,
when you tell black people that, they agree. Anyone that's made something of himself, he's like, I don't want to. I'm good. I'm living near them. No, thank you.
You know what Ye told me? I'll tell you verbatim what he said. that it doesn't come from a place of, and you use the word aversion. That's the first thing I'll actually dispute.
Okay.
It's not an aversion on the basis of skin color, because that would seem to suggest it's like a stubborn, irrational bigotry. I don't consider myself a bigot. I consider myself a racial realist. I'm realistic about how the races are, and I speak provocatively about it. And I speak provocatively about our tribalistic instincts and tendencies as human beings. And I'm not a liberal ideologue that says that over time and with enough education, we're all going to see this great brotherhood where we're colorblind and everybody's the same. I don't think that's ever going away. I think that race is real. It's not just skin deep. It matters to us and it matters to each other. And Black people know that, and Hispanics know that, and Asians know that. And people like me that have partial Mexican ancestry, we know that too. And I think on that basis, we can have mutual respect and understanding, not aversion based on skin color.
The reason I use the word aversion is you literally said that you should walk the other way if you see Black people. That is an aversion to Black people based on their skin color.
No, that's called economy of information. That's economy of information. That's safety. And I said in the same monologue, if you watch it, it's like, I feel sorry. The problem is you clip the 10 seconds. I don't know if you watched the whole show, but in that monologue, I said, most Black people are not violent or criminals. I said, and it's unfortunate that we're going to offend them when we turn and walk the other way. I said, but the problem is we don't know. We can't tell. And someone like Irina Zarutska, she sat down in front of a Black man with her headphones in and wasn't paying attention because she was being a good liberal and said, I'm not uncomfortable by this. I'm progressive. Then she got stabbed in the neck. And I said, it's unfortunate that you would have to sit behind the Black man to be safe. And if he's not violent or schizophrenic, he might be offended by that. I said, but I would rather offend him than die.
How many deranged white men?
Yo, in Chicago, there's literally a guy, that Black guy, punching women in the face on the trains.
Committed atrocious acts of murder in the last 10 years in America?
Proportionally far fewer.
But how
far
many?
fewer.
How many? Do you know how many?
That's the other thing. They'll say stat, and if you don't know the exact stat off the top of your head, and you don't know exactly where it's from, like, they're just doing it because they don't like you. And it's like, they don't want to hear what you have to say. So I give a solution. I just say, we can never talk again. We can just never communicate again.
A research team, you pull it up. I don't have it in front of me.
You're obviously extremely exercised by that one story, which was horrific, for the record, absolutely horrific, and should never have happened. The person who perpetrated that evil act had a string of previous offenses and should have been picked up more, and it should have been amplified more. I completely concur with all of that. But I just suspect you have no idea how many white...
Yeah, but Pierce, you're not going to have to deal with the consequences because you live in an ivory tower. You can afford security. You're not the one that's going to have a consequence for not being a realist on this issue.
White people have committed similar crimes, do you?
No, because I know it's far fewer from experience.
Okay.
Because it's like you said. Well, and hang on, and I would add to that.
Yeah, I'll tell you why it's a good thing. We can never talk again because women, they want you to behave in a certain way. And men, if they don't like you, they stop talking to you. So I just never understand. I'm like, if you don't like me, then we can just never interact again. It's just amazing.
Irina Zarutska wasn't the first one. That was also after Austin Metcalf was killed in Texas.
Sure.
After
But
Carmelo
how many
Anthony
times has it
stabbed
been
him in the neck.
perpetrated by white people?
Well, hang on. Let me finish.
Okay. What BS is liberal media that made it okay to be racist against white people and not anyone else, said an Asian guy. Yeah, I know. My whole life, I mean, it's been normal to be racist against white people.
Finish my point.
But you're
And then
implying
not
that
only
white
did-
people don't do this. And my point to you, Nick
Okay.
Fuentes, is of
Yeah.
course,
Oh, I never said white people don't do it.
deranged white people commit heinous acts. But you don't either know.
disagreement.
You neither know nor care, or maybe both. Maybe you do know but don't care. You only seem to be focused on Black people who commit crimes. And
Yeah, if only they would stop committing so many that we would stop noticing. It's not like white people wake up and say, I can't, like, I'm going to give you 3 different examples in 3 different countries where Black people fatigued me. I went home and I lived in my parents' house. And 2 doors down from where we live, a black family moved in. And somebody was shot 2 doors down from us. These people sell drugs in my family's neighborhood. One black family moves in. The cops are being called. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that nuts? Yeah, someone was shot. And it was funny. I told my dad, I'm like, isn't that crazy? And then he's like, well, they didn't die there. They died on the way to the hospital. And I'm like, Dad, I don't think that makes it better. Like, I told you my fatigue story in the beginning where I actually helped. There was a YouTuber who before me was very stagnant in his growth. And when he came on my show, doubled his subscribers. I really revived his career. Decided to throw me under the bus and call me a colonizer because I had Nick on. I had another camera stolen, about a $4,000, probably $4,000 to $6,000 camera stolen from me by a black employee. And I'm not even talking about some other things that happened. Why isn't Dominican black? Well, they're not as ghetto as you guys. They're part white and Spanish. So I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm not saying they don't have their problems, but they are less ghetto. I've been to the DR. I've been to the DR and I've lived in a black area. Okay. Not all, but most. Enough that you fatigue us. And by the way, I don't think the majority of my life I lived in like black. Oh, another time I was fatigued. A black entertainment company wanted me on a panel and said they'd pay me $5,000 to go on their show. I went on their show. I actually racked up all these expenses because it was in Vegas and it's like absurdly expensive to like eat in Vegas or whatever. And this black entertainment company was the only company that didn't pay me. They ripped me off. Are you around more black people than anyone else? I don't know. Depends on the person. I'd say now I'm in the gayborhood, and thank God there's no women. I can deal with gays. I can deal with the gays. They're fine. They pay taxes. I mean, the only downside is if there's like a parade, they do wear thongs. I don't appreciate that, but women have been doing it for like a decade, wearing thongs in public. So you know what? I'm like, gay men can have equality on this. IQ determines everything, and IQ is 80% genetic. Not every demographic has great genes. Yeah. IQ is a lot. I don't know if it's everything because I don't know. I see some people that just work so hard and I don't think they have smart parents. But who cares why? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it because of genetics or culture? I don't care. I just don't want to get shot. I don't care why you are how you are. That's like your problem. It's like, why are women so terrible? Is it because we're inherently genetically just terrible people? Or is it because the culture makes us bad? Who cares? Who gives a shit? Do you know what I mean? It's like, doesn't matter if they're divorce raping me. Doesn't matter if I can't get my $5,000 camera back. You know, it's crazy. My staff is still 50% black. Isn't that nuts? Isn't that nuts? I'm still an equal opportunity employer against all odds. I can't believe it either.
Again, if you hadn't prefaced the whole debate about racism by openly conceding you are a racist, I could read other connotations into what you've been saying. But once you've said, okay, I'm a racist, and then you only talk.
Despite making up only 13% of London's population, Black Londoners account for 45% of London's knife murder victims, 61% of knife murder perpetrators, and 53% of knife crime. Zubia is trying to find a way around it. If you've been percentage-wise more around black people, then the likelihood to have bad experiences with them is more likely. Yeah, I mean, if you interact with a race. But I've been around white people the majority of my life, up until a few years ago. And I did not have those experiences.
About black crime, I think people can watch this and they can say, yeah, he's a racist. And everything that he says about crime is driven through the prism of being a racist who judges people according to their skin color.
Well, it's funny because it's quite on the contrary. And I said this in a similar monologue. You know, the problem is not that I wake up and I walk down the street and I see someone that doesn't look like me and it makes me angry. The problem is there's a pattern of behavior, which we've all seen. Blacks in America have become narcissistic, and they become narcissistic because they've been told they're victims of racism. They're victims of slavery. They've been told really there's no accountability. If they're rude, if they're inconsiderate, if they're criminal, they are told that they have no agency for their actions. They're being told if you act in this way, it's because the white man made you that way. It's because the system's rigged against you. And so we have been telling black people this for a generation, and now there's no rules. Now they go, and what we hate to see as decent people, not even as white people, but decent people, even black people too, what we hate to see is rudeness, obnoxiousness, inconsideration, criminality, violence. And that's that pattern of behavior that we see all over social media, on the
just to
body
be clear,
cam footage,
you
on
don't like,
cops.
you don't.
It's funny watching these people pull the broken R-word lever as if it still works. Yeah, we're done. We are done. We are fatigued. I mean, if you had a bad experience with a black person, put it in the comment section and put it in the chat, and I'll read it. There's a differences. There's a ginger trope. What's the ginger trope? Is it that we're weird and high? I've heard we're crazy with high sex drives. I've heard we're good in the sat. That's what I've heard. I plead the fifth.
I don't like black people who play the victim and are rude. Is that your position?
I don't like that pattern of behavior.
And who are narcissists?
I see where this is going.
Yeah,
Are you going to turn this around on me?
You're ahead of me, aren't you? Because you.
That's a female tactic. We can add that to the circle of gaslighting. You are a narcissist. Spelled it wrong, but don't mind me. Don't mind me. I've been sucker punched 3 times in my life, all black guys. Black guys are resentful because they didn't build the West. I saved a female and she tried to kill me. My 400-year-old Southern family was bused in a 90% black school. I have plenty of stories. Should I open the lines? I've been going for 2 hours already. Maybe I'll open the lines. Let me know. Do a poll if you have a story you want to tell. Are you fatigued? I may open the lines. I need, or do a part 2 tomorrow.
When I said,
Very clever.
what black friends have you got? You said,
I am kind of black, aren't I?
No, not that. You said, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying your choice of black friend is Ye, who is arguably the #1 black victimhood narcissist in America. Do you understand the problem? So he's your friend. He's one of the very few black people you want to be associated with, but he's the epitome of what you just said you abhor about narcissistic black people.
I disagree. I disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. Because Ye, if you've ever met him in real life.
I have, yeah.
Okay, well, then you know. He's nothing but polite, considerate.
Actually, he was very rude to me the last 2 times I interviewed him. He's a supreme narcissist, and he's also.
You keep interrupting me. You're very rude. Are you black?
Because
you're being very rude by interrupting me right now.
To you.
I'm giving you a hard time, but I
okay.
do want to finish my point. I do want to finish my point about Ye. He is a guy who, when I was with him, wanted to make sure that everybody was heard. Everybody felt included. He's actually a very soft-spoken guy, very polite. And by the way, not violent. When you look at all the rappers that are in the music game, many of them, especially from Chicago, drill rap, they're talking about killing people, shooting people, they gangbang. He notably, if you know about him, he got his start because he was a nerd. He wore a backpack and a polo, and he wasn't a gangbanger. He rapped about his feelings and girls and his dreams and his ambitions. So no, and by the way, he would tell me all the time, he doesn't even feel black. They make him feel not black because he doesn't do those things, because he's soft-spoken, because he's artistic, because he's a bit of a nerd or likes fashion. So I would disagree. He's actually not like that at all.
Okay.
We're talking
He's also a Hitler-loving anti.
Yeah, and then that's insults. Like, I'm sure I do it at times, so I'm not pretending I don't, but I try to avoid calling somebody something because I just want to, like, let's get to the meat of the conversation instead of arguing, are you racist, anti-Semitic, are you good or bad? I'm not the judge and the jury. That's God. It's not me. I'm not that religious, but I do like acknowledge that there's a higher power, right? There's a higher power bigger than me or you. Pierce is a simp, so I will. I guess I guess I will. I will be the judge. I am the queen of saying simps, but but like, is he racist? Is he hateful? I don't know. That's God's choice. It's not mine. In junior high, I got jumped by a black kid. The black guidance counselor talked me out of pressing charges. No concern about me, but he was concerned about an arrest that would ruin his life. David Horowitz got involved with the Black Panthers. Pearl, he saw things about the black criminals that would open your eyes. Charlie Kirk did a tribute to him earlier this year. I don't know. Yeah, Pierce thinks he's righteous. They tried to, okay, let's go.
Semite.
They tried to tear Kanye down because he promoted I don't know about that. I mean, he had like a Ho song. His wife's walking around naked. I don't know if he's like the God.
We're going to take a little commercial break here. And we're going to come back and talk about anti-Semitism. And
oh, I don't know if we want to talk about anti-Semitism. Okay. All right. So I think we're going to take a break there. I'm not going to do a call-in today. I'm not going to do a call-in today. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it around this time. I don't like to give exact times because, oh wait, no, I won't. I probably won't tomorrow. It's probably going to have to be Thursday because I'm doing that interview. I have someone coming in tomorrow. Thursday, I'll do part 2. What time around this time? I don't know the exact time. If you can't get with that, find, we can just you can never watch again. Okay. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you could like the video, that would be amazing. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.